basically listening to the rock music that my mom was listening to at the time, which was Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Aerosmith and the Moody Blues and Steely Dan and the Beatles and the Who. All that great early, mid-60s, early 70s style rock and roll is what I kind of got into. And then I started to gravitate towards Kiss. Was kind of my first, wow, what is this? What is this thing? What are they doing? I remember being, 7 years old, I think, and I got Kiss Alive 1 as a Christmas present. And just, that changed everything for me. Really started to get interested in, sound. And then I got a little tape recorder, one of those old, like realistic, massive, it's like a lunchbox style with the flip top that you put the cassette in, and had the big red record button on it, and I would just start recording stuff. We had a piano in the house, and I would just put it on the floor under the piano and just go up and press keys and then sit and listen back to it. And I started playing when I was 14. That's when I got my first guitar. I started playing in bands probably when I was about 15. Yeah, it's about a year after that. I started recording to be able to record our band, which is the whole reason I started doing this. I wanted to be a rock star still. I didn't care about recording. I just was the guy that blew all my college money on a 4-track and and mics and stands and cables, and my mom let me turn her garage into a little makeshift studio. But I wanted to be in a band. I wanted to be a musician. I played guitar and bass and drums in various incarnations of different bands locally, and then I started recording our own band, make cassettes and give them out at your shows, and all my friends in other bands were like, wow, this sounds cool, can we come make a demo at your mom's place? And at the same time playing in my band and trying to, make it and become successful as a musician in a band and all that kind of stuff. When I actually moved to California, we moved out there with the band. I still wasn't like, I'm moving to California to be a producer. I was moving to California to be a rock star. Me and my 4 bros who we had already been in this band for 4 or 5 years. That's why we moved out there, and we got to California, and we just got totally absorbed into the scene. And I had a friend who was making a record at a studio who called me because he knew that I was into recording, and was kind of like, hey, they're looking for a runner down at this studio. And I was working in some pizza shop. So my friend called me and I went to the studio and I got hired as a runner, and I could still do my band at the same time. And then I slowly just started to get more into recording. I started becoming friends with the bands that were recording at the studios, and I started to become friends with the engineers and the producers. And I took my drive and my energy from that and moved it over to this, and I could not have been at a better studio. I was working at a place called Sound City in Van Nuys in California, total rock studio. Like I could not have been in a better place. And I started to realize that as far as recording went, I was already doing a lot of that stuff that I saw these A-list engineers and producers doing. Thing about as a runner at a studio, it doesn't really happen anymore, but when you're a runner, you're basically the band bitch at the studio. Whatever the band needs, you get in your car and you go do, and Sound City was one of the only studios in LA that actually paid their runners. Most of them are just interns. You're just there hoping to get a shot one of these days. I just started to realize that the day shift was where it was at, because at night you could hang out with the dudes in the bands. You start to become friends with the dudes, and then the next thing you know, it's like, hey, you want to come in the control room and check it out? So all of a sudden you're in the room, getting to observe just all these amazing producers and engineers that I was so lucky to be able to not only start to become friends with, but start to work with, and see how they did things and learn and take what I'm learning from these great people and turn them into my own thing, because that's how you do it. I watch you, and then I take what you're doing and I do it my own way, because nobody ever does stuff the same way. Everybody hears differently. So even though I'm using the same mic and the same mic preamp through the same board and the same speakers as a different guy, it's gonna sound different. It's just the way it is, you know, because we all hear things differently. That's what's amazing about this. I could not have been in a better place. For the kind of music that I like and the kind of music I feel that I can, you know, give something to, it was perfect. It was like going to the college of rock and roll. And it was amazing. I was a runner for a while, and it was a great job. I loved it. And then I ended up quitting the band because I realized that we didn't have the song. We didn't have songs that were gonna get us to where we wanted, so I ended up quitting the band. And right around the same time, I moved up to be assistant engineer, which meant I was in the control room. I'm the guy plugging everything in. I'm the guy, you know, running the tape machine and aligning the tape machines and putting the mics up and, you know, plugging everything in. That's not being a producer. You're the utility guy in the room. You're the guy, your job as an assistant engineer is to know what every single thing in that room does. You don't have to know how to use it, but you have to know how to plug it in and turn it on. So that when the engineer goes over here and pushes this fader up, he hears what he wants to hear. There's not silence. He hears what he wants to hear, you're golden. Silence, no good. So then I was an assistant engineer for years, you know, 3 years maybe, a little over 3 years, every single day, 15, 18 hours a day. I just got consumed by it. And that's where I really learned how to make a record sound like a record. It wasn't about producing. You know, there's two very different things, producing and engineering. The cool thing about Sound City is bands would come in there and camp out for months. So you really got to know everybody and you really got to learn how things work. When I wasn't working, I would cruise around the Hollywood club scene and look for bands that I thought, like, wow, that band's pretty cool. They got some cool songs. Watch their set and approach them afterwards and, you know, this is who I am. I've got access to a studio. You guys want to go record a couple songs? So that's how I would start to get my feet wet, so to speak, in these studios. Because another great thing about Sound City is the people that owned it they were just so cool and so open, and they so wanted you to get to that next step, to get to that level where you could fly the coop, so to speak. Because a lot of great engineers have come out of that place. Then I started working in other studios around LA, because you can get great in one room, but part of doing this is being versatile and being able to go to other rooms that are completely different and still making it sound great. Then go into that room over there and still making it sound great. I mean, not anybody can just walk into this room and make it sound like a record. You know, you've got to be able to know what goes where, and I mean, it's so complex, so many variables of how you hook things up and what order you hook them up in, and it all starts from the microphone, you know, where you have it from the source. Is it too high? Is it too low? Is it too close? Is it too far away? Is it on axis? Is it off axis? I mean, there's a zillion different parameters, and becoming comfortable and becoming confident and becoming, you know, quick, where it's, you know what you want, you make a decision because you already got a good idea of what it's going to sound like. I mean, those are the skills that you have to be able to make everything in this room work together and to be able to hear what you want coming out of the speakers. Because that's really what it's all about.